Hey everyone, thanks for joining. Of course, back with Martin. Hope everyone had a great holidays. We're gonna do a kind of 2022 recap, what a successful year, go over some of the highlights, but then also talk about what some next steps look like for 2023 and some exciting things to come. But first things first, Martin, how are you? How was your holidays?
Tremendous. Always good to spend time with family and friends. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, great, great. No, awesome. Glad to hear. I guess here to kind of kick it off. I mean, pick the highlights you want to use, but wanted to talk just 2022, year in review, maybe what was accomplished, what were some of the big wins?
Yeah, 2022 was, from an operational standpoint, a really good year for the company. By way of reminder, we went public in October of 2021, which seems like a very long time ago, but from a calendar perspective, was not all that long ago. We set an aggressive timeline within our IPO perspectives of what we wanted to achieve with those proceeds. And I think by and large in 22, we did achieve our material inflection points, our catalysts. We did so in a timely manner and on budget. So we had three major catalysts for the company. Our bispecific antibody, we nominated our clinical candidate, that's referred to as CTIM-76. That asset met all of our goals as it relates to selectivity, potency, and manufacturability. We really do believe it has the potential to be a best-in-class Claudin-6 by CD3 bispecific. And as our viewers may be aware, Claudin-6 is expressed in a wide range of cancers. So not just female cancers like ovarian and endometrial, but large end markets such as lung cancer, bladder cancer, and stomach cancer. So we really do have high hopes for that program, and it's progressing nicely. We also had two clinical updates. We provided guidance on our preliminary data from our breast cancer study in collaboration with Wisconsin Oncology Network, the SMILE trial. Just about a dozen patients, so still very early days of that trial. But what it showed is that the drug is producing encouraging activity. It's meeting our internal statistical goals that we had for the trial and delivering that activity with a very clean safety profile. And as we think about how that data stacks up to the standard of care, which is fulvestrant. So patients are on drug for fulvestrant for about 2 months, which isn't all that long. The early data that we presented shows that we appear to be doing significantly better than that in a similar treatment population. So that's tremendous. The second data, which we're really excited about, was in endometrial cancer. So their chemotherapy is the anchor treatment for patients. Chemotherapy, is, you're probably aware, is very toxic. It works in some cases, but you have to deal with the toxicity in almost all cases. What we're seeing from that trial really caught us by surprise in a great way. We're seeing chemotherapy-like activity or better without any material side effects to speak of. So if you can give a chemotherapy-like effect with all of the best attributes of chemotherapy without all of the negative attributes, that, in our view, would be a tremendous advantage for patients and their families, enable them to live a higher quality of life and still have the same activity on the tumor, which is the end goal. So that trial is enrolling well. We provided updated guidance that in the middle of 23, we will give the next slug of data. And it looks like enrollment's on track to actually complete enrollment by the end of the year and have top-line data. So we're really excited about that trial. If you have the opportunity to displace chemotherapy, that's a huge win for patients. So between these three activities, we really do think we had a great 2022 from an operational standpoint.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, we've talked before on different parts of these releases along the way. I mean, congratulations, and I know everyone, and probably speaking for a lot of people, I can obviously relate with chemotherapy and what they've seen happen as a result of that. So fantastic hearing those results. I guess the just moving on, and you're kind of covering these already. I know a lot of them blend together, but a lot of questions about the recent data release. There was questions, some of the highlights, how do these results compare to what's on the market? But then just generally speaking, the impact that it had in the market. I'm curious, wherever you want to take that one and kind of go.
Yeah, well, there's a zillion directions one can go. So I think it's no secret that for microcap biotech companies, 2022 was a very challenging year. Operating in an inflationary environment was not a trivial task for any company. So with that backdrop, I can't really speculate on why our stock went one direction or the other. I'm not an economist. But what I can say is that two material things came out of 22. Context is exceedingly well positioned from a cash standpoint. We have cash into 2024. We do not need to tap the markets at the moment to finance ourselves. So we can wait to see if the valuation for the company changes based upon our 2023 milestones, of which there are many. And then again in 2022, we hit on our key catalysts for potentially creating value for the company. So we had two clinical trials that we believe uh, either met or exceeded expectations. We'll see in the case of endometrial if it continues to exceed expectations. And that means compared to the standard of care for endometrial chemotherapy and fulvestrant in breast, that we're performing as good, if not better, than those agents, and doing so with a very clean safety profile. So really excited about 2022, but we have a work ahead of us in 23. I don't think anyone knows where the broad economy will go. We have to assume that a high inflationary environment will stay. And so what we're going to do as a company is keep focusing on execution. We've really oriented investors to the second and fourth quarters of this year. If you look at our milestones and where they line up as being the heavy data time points for the company. We have a lot of catalysts across our trials and programs. And so we do hope that there's increasing appreciation for the programs, understanding how they meet significant medical unmet needs, and looking forward to getting the story out to a new and broader audience of potential investors.
Yeah. No, awesome. And I guess here to move the, past, you guys crushed in 2022. Congratulations again. I guess the next part, and you're already kind of talking about, some of these milestones, some of these catalysts that people can, start to look forward to. I know we've done kind of timeline chats before, but maybe for people that are just seeing context for the first time, do you want to talk about kind of what 2023 looks like? Obviously, hey, these are the expected things to come out over the course of the year. Do you want to kind of give the high level?
Absolutely. So we have kind of four material drivers for the company. We have the CTIM-76 bispecific program as a whole, and then we have our progesterone receptor antagonist, ONXR, and its three clinical programs, which we refer to as OATH, SMILE, and ALONA. So for OATH, SMILE, and ALONA, OATH is our endometrial trial. That will have the next data cut in mid-23, and then potentially completion of the trial and top line data by the end of the year. We have the SMILE trial in breast cancer, where we'll provide the next data update in the fourth quarter of 23. And then the ALONA trial, which is our newest trial in partnership with the Menarini Group, which is a large multinational pharmaceutical company. And that partnership was announced in August. And actually, we just had the first patient enrolled in that trial this week. So to go from contract signing to first patient in under 5 months was a Herculean task by our team. And so we're really excited about the potential for that trial to enroll well and have preliminary data in the fourth quarter. For CTIM-76, we're orienting investors to the second quarter. There we'll provide a further update on the development of that program, and hopefully reiterate guidance that we'll be filing the IND for that program in Q1 of 24. The IND is the FDA regulatory requirement to pass before you can start treating humans. So everything's moving along. All the catalysts are outlined on our new corporate presentation, which you can access on our investor relations website.
Yeah. Cool. No, awesome. So lots of updates, some good videos to come. And of course, always want to take this time. Anyone with questions, please, whether it's your first time or you're following for a while, please drop them below. Happy to cover almost all questions. And speaking of that, I picked my favorite one that I saw kind of just generally getting asked. Figured we kind of end on what I thought was a great question. So we got a question about the bispecific antibodies and kind of more so about other companies and the what feels like the research that's being done in the industry, especially last year, some of those results. And the general question is, how do these other companies having, good results or whatever affect context? And maybe, I figure more than anyone. You want to talk about some of those results and maybe how they could benefit the company as well.
Mhm. So since this is oriented to investors, investors are always looking for, what's the next hot thing? And that's not dissimilar to what pharmaceutical companies are looking for. They always want the next thing. And what drives pharmaceutical companies is good data. And so in the case of bispecific antibodies, there's been a rash of good data over the last 3 years. And so there's been 9 FDA approved, or I should say 9 globally approved bispecific antibodies, but the vast majority of them have been approved over the last 3 years. So there's this increasing momentum and interest in the space. GlaxoSmithKline announced a bispecific partnership with WuXi, where they paid $40 million up front, and there's more than $1 billion of downstream milestone payments due if that partnership progresses. So that sort of underscores what's going on in the market. But we saw last year in the bispecific space a number of transformative transactions for assets that were at a similar stage as CTIM-76, so late preclinical stage assets. And we're seeing upfront payments for those deals, which can be found, a select number of them in our current presentation, that the upfront payments are $25 to $100 million, and you see milestone payments in the range of $250 million to $1 billion. So these are not, obviously not every asset is going to get that kind of deal. You have to be the right asset, right place, right data set. But it hopefully does help frame the market potential. If one develops a good asset, what value could conceivably be attributed to that asset.
Wow. Oh, incredible and very good highlight of how interesting GSK with some recent great news and obviously some interesting milestone payments. Okay, well, look, Martin, thanks so much as always. Amazing answers to the questions. Again, anyone with questions, please drop them below. We'll definitely do some more overviews of what's coming in 2023 and of course some Q&A. But Martin, thanks so much for joining.
Jason, thanks so much.